So let's bring out those explosive details that Veera just spoke about. Remember, it's about a meeting that locked 11 faiths. 11 people losing their lives. So is there a clear Team Sidda stamp on this entire tragedy? On your screens are more details. We are putting out details of the meeting that is held on June the 4th. Now, you have heard multiple versions coming in as to who really took the final call on the celebration. Did the police get enough time to prepare for their bandobast and everything else? The cops were warned, but then you also had the Team Sidda that pushed back. So this possibly, was it a tragedy that could have been averted? The answer is a straight yes. But can Team Sidda still dodge this? We will let the courts, the investigative agencies decide that. But Veera, I'm going to come back to you as we'll play out those graphics on our screen back again. Tell me more about the sequence of events and why possibly today, when you have everyone else being held accountable, Siddaramaiah, DK Shiv Kumar for the moment saying, let's wait for an investigation, not the right time to play politics. Can they duck accountability?
Well, it's going to be very, very difficult for anyone to duck accountability because, look, they were all there in full public play as far as the events are concerned. But let's just go through what's happened behind the scenes. The plans for the celebrations, if the RCB wins, begins before the final. We know that for record from the letter that was sent from the Department of Personnel to the Deputy Commissioner's office seeking the police's response for it. Even there, we believe that the police did not send a written reply back on the 3rd of June. This is before the final. They reply only on the 4th morning. And some say that even that could be much, much later post the tragedy. But we don't have convincing evidence of that. So the fact is that the planning for the Vidhan Saudha events begin a day before. On the 9:30 a.m. on the morning of the 4th, this is after the IPL finals and RCB has won. Remember, policemen were on the streets till about 3-4 in the morning, trying to look at the situation because there were celebrations in the night as well. There is a conversation that happens at the Chief Minister's residence, according to sources, which was attended by the Chief Minister's political advisor, which was attended by the Deputy Chief Minister, the Commissioner of Police, and other officers as well, in which it was categorically told by the police that, look, we cannot handle 3 events. A victory parade is out of the question. The police were persuaded to agree to 2 events, one in the Vidhan Saudha and the other in the stadium, when they were under the impression that the stadium event would be more like a cricket match. Now, here's the point, right? Post that, everything goes in a different way. There was some kind of communication between the political leadership and the RCB and the KACA. And the police were only told what they had to do eventually, according to officers. Okay. They were not really given the entire say as to whether an event should proceed or not.
Okay, Veera, I'm just jumping in here because now we'll be able to play out full frame details of everything that you've shared with us, of that important meeting that possibly could have changed everything vis-a-vis the entire story, and that will help you understand who today is to be blamed. Remember, we are talking of a crucial meeting that takes place on June the 4th. This is the inside story on why was the Chief Minister's secretary sacked. Now, this is where, in that meeting, they took a final call on the celebrations. Should they happen or not? This is the place and the time it was decided. The Chief Minister's political advisor, the Deputy Chief Minister, Commissioner, all present in that all-important meeting that takes place at the Chief Minister's residence. So were they aware? The answer is an obvious yes. Govind Raju, who's the secretary, who's now axed, he pushed for celebration. He said, we must have one. So clearly, this is a decision that was taken in that meeting, to which the commissioner said no. He said, we cannot have 3 events. We will need a lot of time for preparation. We need to deal with all the arrangements, is what he said. He also said there should not be a victory parade. And this explains a lot of that back and forth, remember, that happened whether there should be a victory parade or not. This is where Govind Raju comes in and he pushes the commissioner to say yes. He says we must have it. It's important to, hold such kind of a victory parade. So the Chief Secretary, the Chief Minister's office together planned the event at the Vidhan Saudha. This is also now largely getting very, very clear. So a lot of these stakeholders today cannot run away from their accountability. The Vidhan Saudha event is planned even before the IPL final. remember, takes place. So there was a plan already in place that we will have an event at the Vidhan Sauda. The DPR then issues a letter on June the 3rd. This, remember, is the agency that looks after these promotional events. The letter said that the State Cricket Association is proposing a felicitation event with the Chief Minister and the Deputy Chief Minister. Both of them, you would recall, were present there at the celebration. The police opinion then is sought for the event at the Vidhan Sauda, something again that has been made very, very clear. But then sources say the police did not reply on record. They did not say whether they are okay with this, whether they have the wherewithal for an event like this. That did not come on record. So clearly there is a lot amiss in the story, and like Veera said, this explains to us why was the Chief Minister's secretary sacked. I want to see if we have just enough time to go back to Veera for a quick question here. You know, Veera, what is clear then is both the Chief Minister, the Deputy were aware. The police clearly not very upbeat for an event at a large scale, particularly at 3 locations. The Chief Minister's secretary is sacked. He's been asked to go. But then what about the Chief Minister? What about the Deputy? What will happen?
Well, difficult questions, right? It's the political leadership. Remember, an officer who was highly celebrated, decorated officer, going through a suspension is at the end of his career, at the peak of his career, is an extreme step as far as police officers are concerned. It is something that rattles the police force when a commissioner level officer is suspended, even a deputy commissioner level officer suspended. These are constitutional authorities. The Chief Minister's political advisor is not necessarily a constitutional authority. The question is that, you know, while yes, action needs to be taken against anyone who is found of dereliction of duty, have the police been targeted? Have they taken much of the hit? What about the rest? You filed cases against KACA. There are cases against RCB management. They're in jail. The police officers have taken a huge hit. What about the bureaucrats? What about the politicians who were in charge at that time? Well, that's the difficult question. That's the one that we don't have answers for right now, Deepthi, as is perhaps the case in India elsewhere as well.